Hello, hello, hello. This is Carib Carter Clues, and welcome to the Offshore Investment Report with Mike Cobb. And today we're going to take a look at an article that it's from CentralAmerica.com, a fellow named James Dyde, and it's the lighter side. But it's one of those things where there's a lot of truth and humor. The 8 types of folks you're going to find in Central America. This guy lives there. He's an expat. So it's the 8 type of expats in Central America. Mike is an expert on it. He's been there over 25 years. Mike, let's analyze the article. What do you think?
Let's do that. Carter, thanks for sending it to me. I mean, you do find some very interesting things out there, and this was just a fun piece to read and very insightful. Obviously, look, if you've lived in Central America and you've been an expat and you read something like that, but it has a whole different set of meaning. And I know you've lived in Honduras and own property there, so you kind of get it. If you're on the outside looking in, it's actually just really humorous, right? I mean, it's funny. So anyway, yeah. I think we lost Carter. Anyway, but nobody ever likes dead air. So there you are. I was going to say, I was going to start singing and dancing because you can never have dead air. So anyway, but thanks for coming back. Actually, the people watching this should really thank you for coming back because they definitely don't want to see me singing and dancing.
Well, speaking of singing and dancing, show the folks what you got for your birthday, which I think was last week, right?
A couple weeks ago, August 2nd was my birthday.
Yes,
so I got.
Show them what you got for your birthday to help with the singing and dancing.
I got a drum kit. Yeah, I got a drum kit, a quiet one, an electronic drum kit. So I'm really happy.
I had no idea that among your many, many talents was also drumming. Now,
poorly. I have not played the drums since high school. So I'm 58. So that's 40 years. Yeah, 40 years ago. Wow, 40 years ago.
40 years ago. So real quickly, who was your idol? Ringo Starr, or the drummer for the Rolling Stones? It's the only 2 I know. That's what, or Gene Krupa.
Carter, you're just a little bit older than I am. It would have been John Bonham, probably from Led Zeppelin, or Keith Moon from The Who. Those were probably the drummers. But actually, and truly, as I got a little bit older in high school, Neil Peart from Rush. I truly believe Neil Peart was the best drummer ever in the history of rock and roll. And he passed away, I think last year, earlier this year, late last year, a real loss. That guy was truly head and shoulders above almost anybody else as a drummer. But anyway, Rush.
There we go. All right.
Neil Peart.
So Neil Peart, and I'm thinking Buddy Rich.
Well,
definitely,
I look on the jazz side of things. Buddy Rich, phenomenal, right? It's just not my musical genre, right? So,
all right,
yeah,
all right. Back to the 8 types of expats. Very good article. I'm gonna name each of the 8, and you give me your read on it. All right. His first of the 8. And again, folks, it is a lighter touch, but the guy's very, very good. And I can tell you, in my years in Honduras, I've seen all 8 of these. Number 1, New Age types. Okay. There that you'll find gringo yoga teachers, meditation studios, practitioners of Reiki, whatever that is, chakra, R reading.
Yeah.
What do you think about the New Age types?
Well, it's interesting. So this guy, I think, lives in Costa Rica, or has lived in Costa Rica. I don't know if he currently lives there or not. And Costa Rica has definitely attracted sort of that New Age set in droves. Right. Panama, less so. Nicaragua, less so. Belize, probably similar in that sense. Different countries kind of attract different people, right? But Costa Rica has definitely attracted that New Age set, what I call not always, but in many cases, old hippies, right? These were the hippies in the 60s and 70s who are now retiring, who are New Agers, right? And there are younger people too. So it's not just the old, but I think that first wave of these New Agers down into Costa Rica, primarily, 30, 40 years ago, were the old hippies. It's a fun bunch. I can tell you, I speak at a lot of conferences where there are a whole bunch of the old hippies, and they would. That's not derogatory. They call themselves that. I'm a hippie, right, or whatever. And the new age stuff is absolutely a big part of their lifestyle, whether it's yoga, Reiki, all kinds of spiritual stuff, and they've found really cool places in the jungle to create spiritual getaways, right? So that is a group. And
all right, I gotta say this because you brought it up, creating places in the jungle. You and I know a guy who was building a development in the Belize jungle, and he showed me the layout and said, I swear to God, okay, now you'll notice that I've designed it so this right here where this building is would be the chakra.
Okay, I don't know who you're talking about, and we shouldn't say it on air. But after this is over, you got to tell me who that is. But yes,
the chakra.
Yes.
So he definitely is in category 1 of the new age.
Absolutely.
Number two, real estate moguls.
that would describe me. Yeah. And it's interesting because there are a lot of people who call themselves that, who pretend to be that. But hey, there we go. Thanks, Gary. That's nice. The reality is this, that there are very few professional real estate companies in the region. There are some. We are one of them. We've been around for 26 years. And, our business plan is 200 and some pages long. We have a leadership team of 20 people. We have a whole team, corporate team. You have about 150 people. So we're the real deal. We've been around a long time. And there are some others like us out there. But a lot of the folks who come down and do real estate are what I call hobbyists. They come to Belize because they love to dive. They go to Costa Rica because they love to surf, or maybe they're a new ager. And all of a sudden, after 6 months of, kind of, now what do I do? I'm bored. I got 16 hours a day I got to fill, and I can't dive that much or surf that much anymore. And so they start doing real estate because that's just the natural thing. They're obviously seeing a bunch of gringos come in and out, and they start up a real estate business, or they start up a development company or a construction company or whatever it is. And a few of them do get through. But the difference between a professional company and a hobbyist company is, I don't dive, first of all. I snorkel once a year with a group if I'm down there, but I could care less if I ever snorkel again. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful, right? It's just not my thing. I don't surf. And I don't golf, right? So kind of like all the things that people go to Central America to do, right, I don't do. I ski, I hunt, I fish, I snowmobile, right? I'm a winter sports guy. I hike. I love the mountains. I love hiking in the mountains, right? And so for me, there's
a winter sports guy who owns the most beautiful residential resort on 3.5 miles of ocean
with a golf course, world-class surfing. Our Belize properties front the second longest barrier reef in the world, full of incredible, fly fishing and snorkeling and diving and sea kayaking, all that stuff, right? But the important thing is, I run my business like a business. My business is a business. My hobby is the business of the business, which is why we're still around 26 years later. And 95% of the folks that were around, along the way aren't anymore, right? No. Because we run our business like a business, because we're all about serving the consumer, right? The hobbyist does it because they're bored. They need something else to do. And if the waves are coming in hot and awesome one day, or the diving's great because the whale sharks are coming up through Belize, guess what? They're taking off to go do that because that's what they're there for.
That's it. Yeah.
And so there are real estate moguls, but the thing that we always talk about in our, consumer resource guide, Carter, the consumer resource guide, right?
I love it.
Right. Is to, ask for a copy of the business plan. That's such a simple thing. Find out if the person you're buying from is really, and there's one more thing too. If they're really a development company, if they're really a company, ask to see a copy of their business plan. Ask to see a copy of their financials, right? Yep. Any company that's worth its salt, right, has those things. So just ask to see it. The other thing about real estate moguls, kind of joking, and it is pointed out in this article that you sent, is licensure. In most countries of Central America, you can call yourself a real estate agent. Hell, you can call yourself a realtor, which is absolutely not true because that's a brand from the National Association of Realtors, right?
That's right.
But there's no license requirement, or if there is a licensure requirement, it's not enforced. So pretty much anybody can get a business card printed up that says, real estate agent or even realtor and sell real estate. And the National Association of Realtors, I was on the board of directors of the National Association. I've served on many of the committees over the years. That's one of the things that they really try to crack down on is people imitating imposters, who aren't licensed, certainly aren't realtors, calling themselves that, and then, taking advantage of gringos. So it's definitely that type, but there are a couple easy things you can do as a consumer. Like you can say, hey, let me see a copy of your business plan. Let me see a copy of your financials if it's a developer, or if it's a guy saying that they're a realtor, no problem. Hey, do me a favor, just show me a copy. I'd like to see a copy of your real estate license, please. And your membership number at NAR, right? Those two things would clear the decks real fast.
Yeah. Excellent. So the real estate moguls who are make-believe moguls, watch out for.
Right.
Number 3, entrepreneurs and digital nomads. Okay.
Yeah.
He points out that the whole COVID thing created an incredible number of these remote workers. You coined the term the remote revolution, which is excellent. It's exactly where we are. It's incredibly beneficial for Central America because a lot of people move down there for the remote revolution.
Absolutely.
So he says the entrepreneurs and digital nomads are the third type of person that folks are going to find in Central America.
Yeah. And that's becoming more and more the last, 3 years, whatever, 4 years since COVID, that has really accelerated incredibly. And so that's sort of a new wave of immigrants to Central and South, or all over the world, right? To anywhere. But yeah, that one, and it doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation. I don't think. It's real, it's there, it's happening. And the number of folks over the last, say, 3 years since COVID has gone through the roof. And I don't think that's going to change. I think more and more people are, look, the younger digital nomads are usually renters. The people who are now in their 50s and 60s who said, you know what, when I retire, I'm going to move to Costa Rica or Belize or, wherever, now many of them, if they have the ability to work remotely, they don't have to wait to retire. They can actually move, next year and enjoy all the fun stuff they wanted to enjoy, whether it's golfing or diving or surfing or whatever. A lot of people surf. I mean, it's incredible. A lot of people in their 50s and 60s are surfers, and they live in places like California where the waves are crowded. They can't catch a wave. All the young guys in their teens and 20s, they can paddle faster. They can catch the wave first. And so what these 50 and 60-year-old doctors, lawyers, accountants who grew up in surfing in California, right, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, right, when they could catch the waves, what they want is an empty wave and no hassles. And they have money, and they say, geez, we have a bunch of these who own properties at Grand Pacifica, right? Because we have 2 phenomenal surf waves at Grand Pacifica. And we have a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are surfers, right? Who are now in that remote revolution. They're working from Grand Pacifica and they're surfing when the waves are good. And it's working really, really well. So this is a new demographic to the region, but I think one that's going to continue to be bigger and bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, Mike, it makes sense. If you can be a digital nomad in some American city, which, by the way, according to a recent survey, the majority of American cities now have a higher murder rate than the Ukraine. Okay. You can do your remote work there. Or in some godforsaken country area where you're in the middle of a cow pasture. Or you can be in the sun, sand, and surf of Grand Pacifica, Grand Bayman, and Belize. Kind of an obvious choice there. All right, number 4, and this one is amusing. I know we both have seen these. Number 4 of the types of people you're going to meet in Central America, folks, and you're going to enjoy all of these when you make your move. Number 4, the ex-CIA and astronaut brigade.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. You meet some very interesting people with some incredibly vivid imaginations. Yes. And you know what? I'm guessing that, maybe 5% of the people who tell you a story like that, it's mostly true. But 95% of the people telling you that kind of story are truly people they should be movie producers, right? Or screenwriters or something, because they can tell a wallop of a story. And there's not a whole lot needs to be said about it. If you just understand that 95% of those stories are just stories, they can be hugely entertaining. But other than that, right, there's very little, if any, substance to that kind of stuff. But it is entertaining. Yeah.
It's entertaining. And the fact of the matter is this, if you think about it, whatever you wanted to be in the US and didn't get to be, once you go to Central America, nobody knows you didn't get to be it. Right. Oh, yeah. Back when I used to play for the Washington Nationals, till I hurt my leg and decided to move down here to play.
Hey, Carter, back before Rush had Neil Peart, I was their drummer. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
All right. Number 5. Here we are in my category now. Socks and sandals.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Socks and sandals. And it's funny. You do see that. You do see the socks and sandals for sure. That category actually kind of is very broad, because you could be the storyteller. You're probably not the real estate mogul, but you could be the storyteller. You could be the new ager. You could be a lot of different things and be that socks and sandals. That's just sort of a weird dress code. The other thing that I see a lot is the mostly bald guy with the ponytail. Right. So you see that too. So the socks, sandals, and then the bald guy with the ponytail tend to be sort of a cliche look in the region. So yeah, those two cliche looks, definitely, they're cliche because you'll see it. Yeah.
You'll see it. Oh yeah. I actually have a neighbor who I keep urging to move down to Central America, because he's a little younger than me, but he's up well into his 60s, and that's all he wears is socks and sandals for footwear.
Yeah.
And I keep feeling like saying,
I know where you belong.
Yes. Do I have a home for you?
Exactly.
And if you're one of those people, go down there and love it. You're going to find lots of compadres.
Yeah. Right. By the way, I've never been someone who really cares what I look like. Right. No, so I mean, if you're comfortable in socks and sandals and a ponytail, I mean, like, whatever. I mean, go do it. Go be yourself. Right. Just go be who you are. Yeah.
You know what? I hate to say this. I'll be 76 a week from yesterday. Okay. And when you get to be my age, you really don't care. Right. I've told you the story. One day I was putting something on, some pair of pants that was awful or something. And my wife, who's Honduran, said, "Amor, no." And I said, "What do you mean, no? I'm 75 years old. What do you mean, no? Telling me what to wear?" She said, "I mean, not yes." So I can empathize with this.
That's good. I like that. I mean, not yes. Good.
Number six, and we've seen these, looking for love. And he points out, he's not just talking about people who are hustling prostitutes or something. They're really, there's another side to that. So what's your take on that?
Well, I didn't you marry a beautiful, wonderful Honduran lady?
Not only did I look, I found.
You found.
There we go, folks. Yeah.
Look, there is the seedier side of it, and nothing really needs to be said about that. I mean, look, I mean, prostitution happens everywhere in the U.S. and Latin America and Asia. I mean, like, and prostitution's the world's oldest profession. Although my favorite sales trainer, Tom Hopkins, actually, I love this. He says, actually, it's not the oldest profession because she had to sell it first. So anyway, but right. I mean, like, it is what it is, right? And it exists. So that side of it is just, it is what it is, right? And but on the other side, I think that right, there are incredible opportunities to meet wonderful people anywhere in the world. And when two people who are good together, can find one
Yeah.
another. I don't think nationality or ethnicity or whatever, none of that matters, right? It's
No.
two people
No.
finding each other and loving one another. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people do end up in Latin America and find partners. A joke that when we moved to Nicaragua, I guess at the embassy, sort of the joke is if you move to Latin America as a single officer in the embassy, you're definitely going home married. So, right. So I think this is, these kinds of jokes and cliches are, again, there for a reason. I mean, that's it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me give a word of warning to people here now. Those of you who are saying, wow, Carter found a beautiful young wife in Honduras. Let me give you a little word of warning here. If you think you're going to go out there and find some docile young Latina girl who is going to go along with it, whatever you say, don't go down.
Yeah, right. We just heard you tell the story about putting on some clothes. And,
yes. And that is not exceptional. So here we go. Right. On to number 7. This is great. Political refugees. And he points out he's not talking about people actually being pursued, by the FBI or whatever, but people who just get tired. And this is a real one of the political division especially now in the U.S. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, in the article, he says he gets angry when people use the word refugee because, there are really, truly, political refugees, whether it's oppression or imprisonment, or, families being killed by death squads. And whatever. You look at the junta that killed in Myanmar, old Burma, right? There's just a lot of horrible stuff. And you've got political refugees, moving on Ukraine, people escaping from Ukraine or South Sudan. So, you got all these kinds of real political refugee kinds of issues. And I understand his anger at this notion of people who leave the U.S. or Canada for political reasons, as refugees. I think he's maybe a little too much on that. Yes. I think that people can be political refugees, to use that word, if we don't like what's happening, in our home country. Why not pick up and move somewhere where you feel freer, or you feel like, I guess freer is probably the right word, or maybe less oppressed. And I think there are people on both sides, left and right. And he talks about when the first Bush or second Bush got elected, a lot of libs went south. And when who was after Bush, Obama got elected, then, a bunch of the conservatives, and then it swung the other way, each time it swings. And in our society in the US especially, but also in Canada, in Canada, you've got incredible, a very left liberal prime minister right now. And so people who are feeling, that's not the government that I want to live under, right? People have an option. You can move. Now, the one thing that we talk about as a company, and this is really, really important, and we've talked about it on this show, Carter, is it's really easy as a Canadian and a US to leave your country. Because most Americans and Canadians can fly to 100 countries around the world without a visa, and they just, hey, welcome to Jamaica, whatever, welcome to Costa Rica. The problem is that unless we have some type of permanent residency, a visa of some kind, not a tourist visa, but a residency visa, after 60, 90 days, whatever the tourist visa is, you have to leave. You have to leave the country because you're no longer welcome. Your visa has expired. And so one of the things that we talk a lot about, and we help a lot of folks. I think we've helped, I know we've helped hundreds and hundreds. I don't know if it's quite 1,000 or not, but it's getting up there. We've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people get residency, in Panama, Nicaragua, Belize, over the years. And so this notion of, if you do want to leave your home country for whatever reason, you don't like the politics, you don't like the social situation, you just want to live in a warm place where you can go, surfing every day or fishing or diving or whatever, right? Getting a residency is critically important. And so that's something that I know we've talked about, you talk about, and it's something people should absolutely pay attention to when they're thinking about moving overseas.
It's vitally important. And Mike, let me just add, I include he doesn't do it, but I include under political refugees, tax refugees. When you're in a state like California, 16%, income tax, or here in Pennsylvania, 8%. Imagine folks not having to pay that because come on, that's a gimme. I'm sorry, that's a gimme, in my opinion.
No, people are leaving the states now. As a U.S. citizen, like your federal taxes are owed right on worldwide income. However, for Canadians, that's not necessarily true. They have a residency test for Canadian income taxes. So for Canadians, actually, there are some strong tax reasons to be outside of Canada at the national level as well as provincial level. So so that's a good point, Carter.
It's vital. It's vitally important.
Yep.
Number 8, finally, and I found this amusing because we've both seen this. Expats in Central America gone native.
Okay. Yeah.
They get down there and they suddenly start speaking nothing but Spanish, and they go Caribbean on you. You try to get them to work, and they're out in the sun. I remember our good friend Dan Taylor built Keyhole Bay in Honduras. We used to have a guy would come down. He was a businessman who would come down. Dan bought something material from me for the buildings he was doing and all. And this guy would come down every couple months, and he would totally go Caribbean. He would totally go native. And Dan once said to me, "This is a guy who comes down here and packs a full day's work in 2 weeks." Right.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good
thing. What about the folks? What's your experience with folks going native?
Well, it's interesting. I actually appreciate that. I find that when people come down and decide that they're going to, go native, so to speak, there are a lot of great things. There are a couple things that I don't particularly appreciate, but most of that I do appreciate. They integrate into the local social scene. So they'll make lots of local friends. They'll learn the language much better than I did. They will truly become part of the local society. And generally, that's a really good thing. I think that's a tremendous thing, actually. There are a couple places where I've seen it go sideways that I think are, one is just an annoyance. The other is actually maybe a little bit, dangerous. The annoyance side is then that if anybody else comes, any of the other 7 types or whatever who don't go native, right? Then they're better than they are, and there's a real kind of snobbery almost in some cases. And sadly, it's off-putting to the new person, right? I don't care. I mean, somebody, they can think of me however they want to think. I don't care, right? And I know a lot of the nativists, really don't like developers like me, right? But whatever, it is what it is. I don't care. The problem is when you got new people coming in, this snobbery sometimes is off-putting to a new expat who's just trying to figure out where they fit, what they, and if you don't become this super native person, well, then you're not really, you're not worthy of being here, kind of that attitude, right? And I don't like that because I think it diminishes the experience of somebody who's really just trying to figure out where they fit in, how they fit in, and how the expat life, how they wear that, right? So anyway, that's the annoyance side, whatever. The dangerous side, and we've seen this a few times, is when people become very political. It's like they become Costa Rican or Panamanian or Belizean, and all of a sudden they have opinions on local politics. Now, if somebody becomes a citizen, right? If somebody moves to Costa Rica and becomes a Costa Rican citizen, by all means, like, you're a citizen, you can
go vote.
You can comment on politics, right? My personal opinion, this is my opinion, is that when you're a resident of any kind, tourist visa, permanent resident, whatever, you are a guest in that country. Yes. And I believe that as a guest, we should keep our opinions about politics and local issues, whatever they happen to be. It can be social issues, political issues, whatever, economic issues, right? We should keep those to ourselves because we're a guest. And I think that's where it's annoying at one level for sure, but it can also be dangerous. And, because I think then people look at you like, hey, you're a foreigner. Like, what are you talking about this kind of stuff for, right? So I think that's the cautionary side of it. Generally, I think that going native, so to speak, is actually a wonderful thing. And I've seen many people do it wonderfully, successfully. They're not snobs about it, and they keep out of politics. And I think if those two things, kind of stay over here, the rest of going native, it's tremendous. I think it's a wonderful way to become an expat and really, develop a whole new, kind of a whole new life in a new way. It's pretty special for a lot of people. Yeah.
And you're right. And it doesn't, the first time I bought in Honduras was way out in the countryside in a little town called El Pino. And you had to go native because that was it.
Right.
Very few fellow gringos around. Now, one way I will say that I never went native, and I don't know whether this applies in other countries. I mean, your experience is much broader than mine. I never went native on not wearing shorts. Honduran men do not wear shorts.
Okay. That's true.
I don't know whether that's true in like Nicaragua, Belize, or whatever.
Costa Rica. Yeah, no, the local folks generally don't wear shorts. That's true. The men generally don't wear shorts. That's true.
Wear shorts. Yeah. So folks, there you go. Yeah, you can leave your shorts at home or be like me, and in that one respect, just don't go native.
Yeah, right.
Because it's hot.
Yeah. Well, Carter, this has been fun, man. Thank you. I'm glad you found the article and forwarded it to me. I enjoyed reading it, and I hope you'll connect me with the author, please. I would definitely like to connect with him, and thank you.
This is great. All right, we will let you go back to your playing the drums there.
Yeah,
we can't get a little drum solo, but you said they're silent, so we can't even get that.
They are. One of these days. I just got it. So it's been 40 years. So let me get the calluses on my hands back and all that kind of stuff, and then maybe we'll do something.
All right, Mike. Thank you very, very much. It's been great. There you go, folks. There you go. How to move south and choose which one of the 8 you want to become. It's delightful. You're going to find them all there, and you're going to enjoy them there. So as I tell you every week, let's do this thing.